Welcome to Casual Conversations. I'm your host for this conversation, James, and we are joined by Joel.
Hi, everyone.
We're doing one of these to get to know you chats for each of the members. So tonight we find out all about the deep, dark secrets of Joel. Buckle up. So, how are you tonight, Joel?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, James?
Good. So let's start. I want to find out a little bit how you got into gaming.
How I got into gaming?
Yep.
I think I got into gaming because my parents didn't want me to play games. I was never really allowed to play games at all as a kid. I remember my aunt had a Game Boy. That was probably one of the first game systems I ever played. Was a Game Boy. It was just the original Mario Land, I think. And
that was a great game.
I played it literally once a year for like 2 years because she would come to visit from Vegas once a year. So I played that, but we never had an NES till like maybe 3 or 4 years, or maybe even like longer after the NES came out. The first real gaming system or games I started playing was on the Atari. Honestly, I don't remember what the name of it was. Like, I think it was, I don't know if it was like the Atari 2600 or whatever. I don't remember. It just had cartridges in it, and it had games. My dad got a diskette, or floppy disk from a friend at work that had like 100 games on it. And we would play that so much that we would just get in trouble. And then like we would get banished from playing the game for like months.
You shall not play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when was your first like system that you actually were allowed to sit in front of the TV and play?
I think it was I actually, my mom
You're still working on that one.
My mom said I could buy a N64, and so we went to Toys R Us, and we were going to buy N64, but they were all out of them. But I remember being so desperate for a gaming system that I was nervous that if we didn't get one that night, if anything, I might not ever get one. Like, it was just, I felt like it was like a mood swing with my family. Yeah. So I ended up settling for a Super NES, which, thinking now, I think I would have enjoyed it more now, but just because N64 had just come out, I had to settle for the Super NES, and I was kind of pissed because I was like, oh, I wanted to play all the games on the N64. So I got the Super NES for about probably 3 months, and then luckily my mom was awesome enough, and we were able to take it back, trade it in, and we got a N64 with a purple see-through controller. We got Rush. We got the racing game Rush, which was so much fun. And Super Mario, and then Banjo-Kazooie. Those were like the first kind of 3 games. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Going from Atari to that was such a huge leap. Yeah, and it was only after, like, way after that we ended up, like, my dad got a nice like Windows 98 computer, and we played demo discs, Age of Empires and stuff like that. And then it was a few years after that my brother and we both built a computer ourselves, and that was so much fun. We like researched from Tiger Direct, not Target, Tiger Direct. And dude, didn't you just like love looking through those magazines? Like, I did. John and I, we would mark down what hard drive we wanted to get, and then we'd add it all up, and we'd build our fantasy builds, and then we ended up having to buy
building like a $6,000 computer. And
yeah, I was like, look at all these awesome guys about like the Voodoo graphics cards and all that stuff. We were so proud because we had like these crappy little speakers. Our monitor was black. It was so like rebellious. Like, yeah, we're not going for beige.
So what game would you say was probably your first just experience where you said, you know what, I'm a gamer?
Probably Mario on
Mario
the
64.
Mario 64 or honestly NES. Like, I played so much of Super Mario Brothers 3, I think. And 1. Like, I just remember playing that for hours and hours and hours, and it just never got boring. Like, it's crazy how those games are still not boring to this day. They're still good. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember any day that I probably went like, man, I love playing games, because I've always loved playing games. I've always been jealous of other people who've had games. Like, I used to I would literally barge my way in on our friends' houses to play games. Like, they had the game Gauntlet on NES. Holy crap, I love that game.
The game is so frustrating.
Like, I would play the game so much, my mom would have to come over and be like, where the heck are you? Because I wouldn't say where I was, because I knew I wouldn't be allowed. Just so I could play this game.
You're at that gamer kid's house, aren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was always there. And that's probably a good reason why I never got it. But once I got out of the house, I'm like, I'm buying all the consoles.
So what's your favorite gaming franchise of all time? All right, I'll let you name two. You can name a recent one, and you can name a past one.
Well, I mean, I think the first game that really kind of changed my life in a way of games, like especially PC games, were just so phenomenal was definitely Half-Life 1. So definitely the Half-Life series. They were just so mind-bogglingly good for like in my opinion. Like I really enjoyed like RTS games and things like that, but I think that series was just kind of the game that was like opened my eyes to like, wow, you could do a whole bunch of stuff. You can tell a really deep story. You can be mysterious, and just have really fun Twitch gameplay. And then definitely the Fallout series. Thanks to you, James. Actually, no, not thanks to you. I played it before you.
Yeah, you did. Actually.
Sorry, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, but
I loved it more.
That's a close second. Close. It's like pretty much third, but
where does Dark Souls fit into that?
Like, I know you won't allow this, James, but like,
I'll allow anything.
Like, I'll allow anything. But like, if I had to say number one game series of different genres, I mean, like you have, I want to say Fallout 3 is my favorite in the Fallout genre. I mean, Dark Souls, I will be a Dark Souls fan for life, pretty much. Like, I can't see myself ever not wanting to play another Dark Souls game. I'm absolutely hooked. So, but I think a lot of it comes from I love Zelda games, and so for me, I think Dark Souls is now a grown-up, kind of more mature, more in-depth Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
So, in between the 10-year Zelda game wait, Dark Souls is definitely filling that gap. So, I like those are all within the top 5, top 10 games of like all time that I'm loving right now. So
what would you say was your most memorable gaming experience? Like, staying up all night doing, a LAN party or something like that.
And I think it comes close to playing Halo, the first game, LAN party. My brother and I, we actually built a tiny piece of cardboard that we'd tape in the middle of the screen so we wouldn't like screen cheat. That, or, and I think it actually might be this. We used to have tons of huge LAN parties, like honestly, like about 8 of us.
And it doesn't have to be a LAN party. That was just an example.
No, but it definitely was. We played Half-Life 1, but we played all the mods. We played all these different co-op games. I mean, we would play them till the sun came up, like religiously, like every week. Every weekend we would have a party. And that was just honestly some of the best gaming time I've ever had in my life. Besides playing the Atari games we played a long time ago online. That was simply the funniest experience of playing a game.
The best is yet to come.
And then the Fallout New Vegas co-op experience. No, that was also up there.
Now, what about us playing Eternal Darkness? That was pretty darn fun,
dude,
too.
we played, like 9 hours that weekend?
Maybe like 7 or 8 hours. It was a lot.
Yeah, probably those.
So I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but you were kind of the anti-PC player of the group. You enjoy that, the couch experience, 51-inch TV experience. Yeah. What other gaming quirks do you have? What makes you tick as a gamer?
I think I was actually thinking about this yesterday because I was thinking about actually bringing like this idea up on the podcast, talking about just like what's random ticks that people have. But like kind of like how I play games or something?
Is there a certain snack you eat when you're playing a game? Do you lights on, lights off, surround sound, headphones?
I mean, I do love really late night game like if my wife goes to sleep early, which she usually does, and she goes to bed, and I just can't sleep, I enjoy going downstairs and just playing a full surround game. Like I love playing like games like Skyrim or Dark Souls or something like that, and just sitting there in just darkness and just kind of enjoying the experience of a game. It's specifically like if it's a new game, like when Bloodborne came out. Honestly, just taking a day off to enjoy just a game that you really enjoy. Like to me, that was honestly probably one of my best vacation days in a long time, because there was no one at all bothering you, for good, for bad, but just like no interruptions. I just sat there. I enjoyed some craisins. Holy crap, it was crazy. But Yeah, I mean,
Now,
I like it being really, really quiet. Like it's the kind of same way I like watching movies and stuff. Like I enjoy completely by myself, just watching a movie, not talking with anyone, and just really being immersed. I just enjoy that whenever I can.
yeah. No, I mean, same with me. Like, I do enjoy the times when I play with other people, and it's more about the experience of experiencing them than the actual game. But when I seriously want to play a game, I'd rather sit and play, just isolated, you know?
Yeah, I definitely need that cool down time, like just personally, like because I mean, because of my job, I'm talking with lots of other people consistently, like on a like minute by minute basis, back and forth between emails and clients and working on my film. When I do have time to play a game, it's very hard for me, and I felt bad lately in the past year just not playing as much online with everyone, at least in our community. But outside, not that I don't like anyone, but it's more of
you're so stretched right now.
Yeah, I am stretched, and so when I do have the time to play, I can only handle maybe one or two other people kind of chilling within the same experience, and they need to kind of be consistently talking about the same thing that's happening around you. And so when people start talking about other stuff, it's very hard for me to kind of like concentrate, and I'll tune out because I need to have that kind of break away from stuff. Like games are not just something I enjoy doing for fun. It's also a peaceful thing. Like this doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense to me. Like Dark Souls is an extremely relaxing game to me. It really is. Like I can play it. I don't get stressed out. Well, I mean,
I guess because you have to be so hyper focused on your surroundings in that game that it really causes you to block out.
Yeah, it does.
Anything else around you. It makes you can't like when you're playing a game like even a game like Fallout when you're doing a lot of traveling. Mm-hmm. You still have the time to think about, I really got to get this done. Da, da, da. I mean, your mind has the ability to wander.
Yeah.
Like something like Dark Souls, because you literally can't look away from the screen or think too far off the path. You kind of have to shut out all the negative things or all the just busy things that I guess I understand how it could be something that causes you to relax, even though it's frustrating.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because obviously when I first played, I mean, I absolutely hated the game. I bought the game 3 times, and it was on the 3rd time that I enjoyed it. Because everyone kept saying it was good, and I was like, this game is absolute crap. It like absolutely just angers you. But when I finally kind of got it, and I kind of figured out with the help of some of my friends, what I like about so much is that you do have to kind of concentrate. It's not to a degree where you like it's stressful for me, but it's like I've really learned to be patient. And I think honestly working on my film for the last couple of years has really helped me just be patient with stuff now, of just taking my time, like, because usually in a game, like this is what I think when I go to even think about playing a game. And I wonder if this is how you think too, James, because I'd wager that it's a little bit the same. So I think, okay, I'm coming home from work. What time is it? Let's say I get home 5:30 or 5 o'clock. I think, okay, I really want to get a run in tonight. I want to be able to just get outside, get in the fresh air. I want to take a run. And then I think, okay, so I'll probably be back around 6:15, going to take a shower. So that's about 6:30. Okay, I'm going to be making dinner. How long is that going to take? And then I think, okay, when can I probably play a game? Like, I want to spend time with Joy. So probably go to bed maybe around 9:45, 10 o'clock. So I kind of play a little bit between 10. So I'm thinking of all, like, my head's always like thinking about this stuff. So when I go to think of playing a game, I'm like, oh, you know what? I probably have maybe about an hour and a half. I might have 2 hours, depending if I want to get to bed early or not. So, and I think of that, especially now, because of all the stuff I'm working on, I go, do I want to jump in a game like Arma, where I possibly might not even actually get to play or do anything within that hour and a half period of time? Where usually, I mean, like even with DayZ, like I love DayZ, back when it was the mod, I enjoyed the time you would spend in the game, but times have changed right now because of the different like schedules I have. I think of like, I want to be able to jump in a game and enjoy it within 2 minutes. I want to start enjoying the actual playing of a game within 2 minutes. So for a game like Dark Souls, you jump in and you're immediately playing. Like you're always doing something in that game. There's never like a downtime in the game. So anything you do that's even not progressing on the level, you're progressing of getting souls. You're progressing leveling up your sword. So every time I play the game, I feel like I am essentially getting further in the game, even though I might not be getting to another level, I am essentially learning a new combat skill or practicing a level or helping John get past the thing or helping you. And so that is why I've kind of been jumping on shorter term games. And even like going from Witcher 3 to now playing Elder Scrolls Online, I can jump into Elder Scrolls Online really fast, play like 2 or 3 quests, and then be able to be done. Like I can enjoy that period. So like I love Witcher, but I usually save Witcher to play it on a day I know I can probably have about 2 hours to play it, even though some quests are shorter, but most are pretty long. So you could be essentially spending an hour and 20 minutes just talking with people, which is great for story. But like when you do know you're like low on time, if you think about every time you play the game, let's say you don't actually do any combat and all you're doing is dialogue, you probably could get tired of it. And so that's why I've kind of tended to stay on games that are a little bit shorter.
I think that was a good thing about playing like Fallout 3, is that while it might not be instant action, you could literally just pick a place on the map, go explore it really fast, and then be done.
Yep.
I mean, I'll be honest, it never just was done. But I would have that, that satisfaction that, I don't have to, look for quests. I could just go do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a couple times, kind of spoiling my questions here. You mentioned a couple times some of your hobbies outside of the podcast. So what do you got What do you got going on?
Well, I like playing the spoons. It's where you put 2 spoons together and you kind of click them on your hands and you play with
2?
What?
Only 2? I mean, if you're good, you can probably get like 5 or 6.
No, yeah, I enjoy making films. And I think it's the funny part about that. I was just thinking about just actually like an hour ago while I was taking a run. When, if people say like, oh, are you a filmmaker? I go, well, am I? I'm like, I guess this is my actual legit full feature film. I've done kind of a much shorter one in the past, but I never did anything before that. Like I've done lots and lots of weddings. I've been shooting weddings since I was 13, and editing stuff. I've been doing small time commercials for people locally in town. And that's kind of it. I've done lots and lots of commercials, helped with other people's films, run glide cam for lots of people, but I essentially haven't myself done a lot of films. It's not like I've done like 4 or 5 of them. So I'd say, yeah, I'm a big filmmaker and I do tons of films. I really am. Essentially, this is my first real legit project. But definitely everything that I've done in the past has kind of helped me get to this point. But I would say that the reason why I do want to make films is because I kind of have to. Like, there's so much like that goes on in my head that like I'm always daydreaming about stories or ideas or different ways to like shoot something. I love the medium of film that you can create this focused like narrative of something. You can guide a viewer exactly how you want something to happen. I kind of think of the way that like, imagine you're sitting at a table talking with a friend or having dinner, like, and you're trying to explain to him a joke, or you're saying to say a joke or summarize some story. And it always frustrates me when there'll be someone else that will pop in on this halfway in the story, say something kind of hilarious, and it completely, like, you can't just jump back into the story you were talking about because they just stopped it. And so for me, I think making a film is kind of like going, you know what? You guys have to sit your butts down, sit and watch this whole film. And, like, hopefully nobody will bother you while doing. Like, I can fully get what I want to say out without anyone interrupting me, except for people that, pause on Netflix and come back and do it like a week later. But yeah, I don't know why. Like, I really want to keep doing it, but it's just, there's something that just pulls me back to it. I love watching films, so it's obviously, I think that's why I want to make films, but I'm just drawn to it. Like, no one keeps telling me to do it. No one asks me to do it. I have to do it. I do it on my own. Like, I'm going to do it no matter what people say. Like, whether it's good or bad, it's something I just really enjoy. It's relaxing at times. It's stressful at times. But mostly, I think, because I love a challenge. I'm always looking for a challenge. It's very hard for me to, like, I'm honestly, like, I'm actually a little stressed about when I'm done with Norman. Like, I'm very excited about finishing it because it will, if I finish it around October by the end of this year, it will literally be 4 years since I started writing it. And so I'm honestly a little scared about what happens next because I'm very excited about seeing if we can sell it, see where we can show it, what happens next. But I'm like, crap. I mean, I don't have any story-wise next, but I want to have a break. But I'm also like, it's going to feel very weird to just not be working on it. It's going to be very, very weird. I might be a little depressed in a way, like in a happy sort of way, but it's like being a kid going to the beach for a week and then you come back and like regular life is just so slow and boring. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to get used to this again? But then you just do, but.
So maybe you'll become a lawyer or something when the film's done.
Maybe I'll do something.
I decided to cure cancer. Music. I mean, the movie's done. I was kind of bored.
I was kind of bored. Maybe I'll do some music stuff again. That would be fun.
So 4 years almost.
Yeah.
How did the idea come about? You tell me a little bit about the process of getting, so many people working on it, and putting together something that it isn't just a student film. It is a complete package.
I mean, it started from like tons of ideas that I've I don't know, wrestled with for a long time. Just little ideas here, little ideas there. I always seem to like every once in a while get like a really simple idea, just a very simple picture. And I almost don't want to wrestle with the idea of what happens next or what's going on beforehand or what will happen afterwards. But like my mind just goes like, I think of it like this. Imagine you walking around a corner of a street. So you're at the end of a street block
or a railroad track.
Yeah, or a railroad track. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. A railroad track, right? So imagine you're looking down the tracks and it curves off sharply to the left behind a whole bunch of trees, and you don't know what's around the corner, right? To me, that is filmmaking. Like how I think of like what I want to do with shooting with filming something or telling a story is I don't want to be the person that's already around the bend looking. I like the idea of I like the feeling of what's around the corner. Like that always excites me. So like I almost get sad when you're around the corner and you see, oh, there's just nothing there. But I kind of take the approach of like what I want to do is I don't know. I want to mix things up. When I learned a lot of stuff about film, or at least some stuff in school, I always got bored with the kind of traditional like methods of how you write a story or how you like portray something, or like the 3-act in scripts, like like the first act, the second act, the final act. Like to me, that kind of really bores me because maybe because I'm a filmmaker, I'm noticing it more. But like when I go see a movie, it's so instantly recognizable what act you're in or what part of the film you're in. And, oh, there's about 25 minutes left. So of course this is going to happen and then this will be resolved. You start to see the trends. And so starting on Norman, I initially thought it was just going to be a little kind of a short film, maybe like 20 minutes or something like that, fun to do over the summer. But what ended up happening is after kind of looking at it and then other people seeing it like you and the other people working on it like Steven, they were really, really excited about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of excited about this story and this world I'm starting to create. And I think the biggest thing I'm proud of about this film is that I look at other films and other stories and I go, you know what? This is pretty darn original, actually. Like, it's actually a fairly original story. Like, it's not like time travel is original. It's not that. I mean, you can make a film with a car and be like, that's not original. I mean, everyone uses cars in movies. But I was thinking about the world we created in this film, and I'm like really excited because I'm like, I can't think of another movie that's like it. Like, it is very different. The way it kind of jumps around in time and what who the character is and why you're watching this and what's going on, and I think people picked up on it, whether or not they got the whole picture or not, but I think they definitely latched on to maybe the passion I had to get this done. And I would, not to brag, but I think I'm pretty good at following up with stuff. Like that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing sometimes is when I get into something, when I'm like excited about something, I want to start right away. And sometimes it's for the bad because sometimes I don't have stuff ready all the time. Sometimes I do. And I've learned a lot about that on the way, but I've also been the person who just wants to, I want to start it. Like I hate delaying so much because I've worked on too many projects or worked with too many people that say they're going to do things but never happens. It just never happens because the enthusiasm can wane so quickly. And so I am proud of myself for being able to hold it all together over these 4 years and keep the same people that have been working on the project still interested. And so I'm excited to see it all done, and I'm excited that people still like me after this whole thing, with sticking through the kind of crappier parts of it when things had to be changed or we had problems or people moved away or, whatever it may be. But yeah, I love a good challenge. I want to do something hard. I want to do something. I like doing something with my hands, and that's what makes it fun. Like, okay, we play games, right, James? Like, I bet you play games because you are immersing yourself into a different story. It's not real life. You're able to, like in Fallout, you're able to explore something that you would love to in real life, but maybe you can't. Maybe one day we can. But like, I love playing Fallout because I get to explore things. Like when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to explore really far in my neighborhood. My parents were kind of scared of who was lurking around the corner, like who would snatch us up or something. But so for games, there was kind of that escape. And the same way is for films. Like, I'm making a film about a time traveler, but I also want to experience, in a way, going to those environments, seeing those things. And so being kind of involved in this film has been a way for me to kind of take a vacation into someone else's life. And I enjoy that. Like there's so many different films I want to do just because I want to go there. I'm like, I want to make a film near Chernobyl, so... but sir, you're making a comedy film. Yeah. But it's just a short scene. We need to go there for like a couple days. We're going to get a couple masks and explore a little bit. We got to get a perfect sound. But yeah, I think I like putting myself in other people's perspectives, like viewing the world through different eyes. Mm-hmm. And so that's what kind of attracts me to making films.
Now, you mentioned you're someone that likes to follow through. Like, you start something, you finish it.
Yeah.
You've actually got a couple other things that you've worked on that you've actually finished. You've got an app, and you've just released a board game after a successful Kickstarter. You want to tell me a little bit about those?
Oh, yeah. I almost kind of forgot about the app. That's awesome. My wife loves Disney World.
I make so much stuff. I forget it all.
It's so frustrating. I wish I had so much more time because I want to make another game using the RPG Maker game. I love doing that. Like, it's relaxing to me. I need to create something and finish stuff. And I've had some people like, Joel, like, why are you making all this other stuff while you're making Norman? Well, I'm like, there are downtimes. It's not every single second I'm doing something on Norman. I can't every second. But I also need a break from Norman. Like, I do need to break from set every once in a while. And I need to still be creative. So I need to still make something. So we built an app. My wife knows a lot about Disney World stuff. And so we made a cool countdown app for Disney World. And it's called, I believe it's called My Magic Countdown. Yeah. We had to change the name a few times. But I think it's called My Magic Countdown.
Thanks, Disney.
Yeah. Thank you, Disney. But, and then this board game, a board game that I made is more by accident because I wanted to just do something fun for our friends getting together for a Christmas party.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere. You're just like, oh yeah, I made a game.
Yeah. Well, I love being random. I love like spontaneity. That's a word, right?
It is.
Spontaneity. I know spontaneous, but I'm like, spontaneity. It sounds like a word.
It's the correct word for this situation.
Yay. I love being spontaneous because for me, I am very much able to just go, you know what? I don't care what I look like, how I sound, what people think of me. I can just, for me, it's kind of a little bit freeing to just be spontaneous because I enjoy it. And whether you like it or not, that's up to you. But to me, I enjoyed it. If my joke falls flat, it falls flat, but I laugh because it falls flat. So I was like, let me just make this little stupid game. And I made a really crappy card game that was supposed to be, if you pick a card and it says a trick, it was a trick or treat game. If you pick a trick card, you you have to have like a prank done. Like you get zapped. But the only thing I had was a stick of gum that like snaps your fingers, but it didn't work well. And so I was the only one. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to tell anyone. They're going to think it's going to be really bad. We'll get through a few rounds of the game and then someone will get hurt. But no, the first person picked up the card. It was a trick card. They did the snapping gum and it didn't hurt at all. And then one of the other guys in the room said, Joel, is this the only prank you have? And I just died laughing because I was like, I've been had. That's all I have. So I was like,
you
all
were
right.
presented a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. So in December when we had our Christmas party a couple months later, I was like, I'm going to have a kick-ass board game. So I brought a board game called The Nebula from Hell. And it's just, I love party games, and I don't think there's enough really good party games to like just that don't take itself seriously. So I decided to create one. So, and I had a bunch of people say, hey, I'd buy that. So I was like, let's put it on Kickstarter. I honestly didn't know if it would finish or not. So I was actually very pleasantly surprised that it finished. I was just really glad. I was like, I still want it to be a failure. I don't care if it makes any money. I just want to say, yay, it finished. And so it did, but yeah, just to show.
And it's the game that punished you, correct?
Yeah, it's the board game that hates you. It's a completely sarcastic board game. So if you like a game like Cards Against Humanity, this is definitely a board game for you and your friends. It's called The Nebula from Hell.
Now, did you have any other random hobbies growing up that maybe nobody knows about?
I play drums. I play some piano. I've played drums for many, many years. I played for church bands. I've played for kind of like a jazz group for the past couple of years, off and on, whenever we can. I really want to say I play the flute, but no, I never played the flute.
I want to say it, but I never
I took a lot of lessons on piano, but I could never quite actually understand like chords and stuff. Yeah, I couldn't. I even took a class in college, and I just couldn't get it. For me, I like sitting down on a piano and just feeling it out, like playing sounds and just putting. I can do that, but like reading music, it's so confusing to me.
Any embarrassing ones when you're growing up? Not even embarrassing. Just
I could juggle.
Juggle, nice.
I did a routine to the Pink Panther theme as a kid.
That would fall into the embarrassing category.
Yeah. Oh man, I loved it. But my mom made me wear one of those like mesh shirts. So yeah, it was a little embarrassing.
Little right said Freddish. I'm too sexy for this routine.
I had rings made out of this like a table like a placemat. Like it was like a plastic mesh placemat, and I just cut rings out of it. Man, I'm just realizing now I've been like a hobo for many years of my life.
All right, well, let's switch gears a little bit. Tell me how you got involved in the podcast.
I got involved through Dave. I've known Dave through work, and we've played a bunch of games together. And
how did gaming first come up? Like I feel like it's like the. Are you part of the club?
Oh,
yeah, are you?
Well, at work, Dave would play during his lunch break, like Battlefield or Bad Company 2 or GTA, and so because of that, he was just naturally someone I could probably talk with because I like games too.
Because he was loud and proud, you were able to.
Yeah, because he was loud and proud. Yeah, I was able to talk to him about it, and he was into that kind of stuff. So I remember them. I wasn't a huge Battlefield gamer, or I like the older series, but I haven't played it for years. Because I actually liked Call of Duty better at the time, but I didn't even really know they had more Battlefront games or Battlefield games. But anyway, so Dave invited me one time, so I got the game and I started playing with him. And actually, my boss at work also played the game, so we kind of all played together. And then Dave's friend Jeremiah played with us, and I kind of got to know him. And he suggested doing a podcast, which I thought actually was a bad idea at the time, because once again, I've been in so many projects where people go, "Hey, let's do this," and then it just never happens, or it kind of falls on your shoulders or my shoulders. They're like, "Oh, let's do it," and then like I've just always tend to be in groups where I got to carry stuff sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do this, and I don't know if I want to talk about games every week, but it ended up being really fun because it ended up kind of being not so much about the games, but just more of just hanging out, and I really like that. I like just being able to hang out, say whatever you want to say and just have fun and laugh. Like, because if that ever goes away, then see you guys. It's been a good time. But yeah, I think that's how it came about.
Now, what do you feel that you bring to the podcast? Like, and why do we call you the Wildcard?
Because I don't worry about filtering stuff. I kind of like being the person that says the thing that sometimes is on people's minds, but they don't want to say it. And then also being the person that says stuff it's never on anyone's mind. No, I was talking with my wife the other day about, like, I hate small talk. I hate it so much. I just physically cannot handle it. I cannot talk to you if you ask me about the weather. Like, if you ask me about the weather, I'm going to ask you a question like, did you ever have, like, parent issues? Like, did your dad ever hit you as a child? Like, I could talk about that so much easier than small talk. I just can't handle that. Like, oh, so the job's good today? I just want to smack you in the face. So when I'm on the podcast, if something doesn't sound funny, or I don't know, I just like saying it. Like, I'm not trying to be rude to anyone, but I just I enjoy being blunt. So I think my bluntness can turn into sarcasm, hopefully not offending people. But I'm okay with being the odd one out, or, having different opinions. I'm totally okay with that.
Now, where does the reference Wildcard come from?
From
just for our listeners.
Yeah, from the show It's Always Sunny. There's a character named Charlie, and he just is hilarious, and you should watch the show because he's always just doing the crazy stuff that everyone's like, wait, what are you doing, Charlie? That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you are pretty much the embodiment of Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
I'm so happy about that too.
Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, he's one of the most awesome characters on the show. But underneath the, the silliness and the stupidness, like, there's really something going on underneath. Like, if you, the episode with, where he has to, like, set everything up for that inspection.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, you don't realize that there's a lot of wheels, spinning underneath that you don't see. So.
And I'd absolutely say that's true for me. And I mean, you obviously know me for a very long time. I think,
yeah, I mean, you come across as the one that says something silly, or the one that, not afraid to, make fun of himself. But, underneath there's, obviously a lot more, like, deep thoughts. And
yeah, I mean, sometimes I can kind of struggle with that because I know I can be known for, like, oh, Joel's a crazy guy that does crazy stuff. But then even throughout just my lifetime, like, I feel like friends and family and things around me, when things have kind of gone wrong or people have kind of gone off the wayside, I'm like, why am I the one still left here? I feel like all the people that called me the crazy one and I'm the ridiculous and he's going to get himself killed kind of thing, I'm still doing okay. Like, I'm fairly grounded. Like, it's just that, I mean, I went to acting class a long time ago as a kid, and some of the stuff I remember learning and I really loved about the acting classes, we did it for a couple weeks at a time. We would do these sessions where you're supposed to pick a topic and you're just supposed to talk about it for as long as possible and you don't break. And the idea is that you don't ever, you shouldn't start thinking about what you're saying. You should just be saying what you're saying. Like, as soon as you start thinking about what you're saying, you start correcting what you're talking about, and instantly you can tell on the person's face or the person acting or whatever it is that they're immediately trying to make something up because they don't have something. And I always enjoyed that session because you could just go off about whatever you wanted, and I just found it fun because it's hilarious to see what you might say if you just keep going. Like, if all of a sudden you just get a random image of a pie in your head, you talk about the pie, like, you just go with it. You don't go, oh, why am I thinking about a pie right now? As soon as you start doing that, you can hear it in your voice that you're stretching for something, like you're trying to try for it. And so I think I've enjoyed that just in life, just the feeling of I'm not afraid of being silly. Like, I'm just not afraid of that at all. Like, because I enjoy it. It's not like I like being the ass of the group. That's a completely different thing. I'm not trying to be the dumb person, but it's like, yeah, if someone wants me to sing a song, I know I'm going to sound dumb singing it, but I'm okay with that. And I think it's funny because I think of all the different podcasts I listen to or videos I watch, and I've always thought that if you're bad at jokes, at least if you commit to it, you're way more funny than if you try to be funny and try to make it into a good joke. Like, I just accept that I'm going to probably say something that doesn't make any sense. And I think I don't know. For me, I think it's kind of hilarious. Like, rather than I'm not good at making jokes. So I'm just going to try, I'm going to make it sound like I'm fully committed, and it won't make any sense at all.
And they're going to at least enjoy the experience if they don't necessarily enjoy the joke.
Yeah. I love the shoe whose line is it anyways, because they can say the dumbest thing ever, but it's hilarious because they're trying and they're just fully committing to it. So I'm not afraid of committing, James.
So speaking of going on and on about something, how did you get the segment 90 Seconds with Joel? How did that come about?
I think I forced it into the podcast. I think it was because we Jeremiah and Dave would definitely talk about tech stuff a lot. And I wanted to be able to I kind of wanted to carve my path and just so I made sure I had some section I could be like, you know what, this whole podcast is not going to be about video cards. It's not going to be about hearing about that, how you should buy the R90X or R290 or something like that every week. It's the same budget, guys. You're gonna tell them to get the same video card every week. Just make a list, say the same thing, we're good. So I wanted to have my way of just going, you know what, today we're going to be talking about not games. We're just going to talk about something weird, like a weird psychology question, a logic puzzle, a random fact I learned. I don't think you were on this podcast, James, but I literally just drank an entire a sweet tea, and that's it. You just hear the crack of that, and then you just hear me gulping it down for 90 seconds. That was it. I just wanted to do something different because I think people might enjoy just the fact you have this random person that just does whatever the crap. He's just like, it's just opposite ends. You have Dave and Jeremiah, who are podcast, PC, tech savvy people. I'm like, you know what? I know what they're talking about, but I want to talk about oranges today.
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite of the 90 seconds?
Yep.
Oh man, what was I recorded this one thing. I was in the car and I was just bored, so I recorded this segment as if I'm flying in a helicopter over Chernarus in the game DayZ, and I put in sound effects of me like flying over, like giving a tour, and then I get hit by like a missile launcher, and I'm going down and screaming, and I think I said something about like, I'm gonna give away my Macs. I was like, James, you can have all my Macs, and then I was just screaming at Jeremiah, like, Jeremiah, you don't get crap. I ain't giving you nothing. And then you just hear me go, ah, and it just wrecks, and it just goes to. I think that's probably my favorite because they were kind of pissed because it was like, what the crap is this? Yeah, I like those.
But
I feel like I'm like Andy Kaufman. I'll do a joke if it just makes me laugh. I don't even care if it makes anyone else laugh. Made me happy.
It's okay. We've all laughed at your 90 seconds. especially the Bro Dream. That was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. Sure there'll be many more of those.
Last question. What's your favorite part about doing the podcast? Or even Casual Shenanigans in general?
Man, I have a few favorite parts. Definitely one of them actually has become a segment where they talk about tech and you and I just text and make each other laugh. That's honestly one of my favorite parts. But no, to be really honest, I think my favorite...
for the listeners that have ever seen us do that, we are not talking about the other hosts.
Yeah, we don't talk about them. We're just texting each other ridiculous
jokes. The jokes are so inside, you have to go through a few doors to get to the inside joke.
Yes, they are. They don't make any sense. They would make anyone laugh but us.
It's like a shed inside a department store. It's inside an inside joke.
See, and that's why I enjoy it. But I think my favorite part of the podcast is when it goes off the rails and we start laughing and joking about stuff. That's my favorite part. Because, I mean, that's the reason why I like hanging out with people. Like, that's the really fun part. Like, I like getting into sometimes deep discussions on certain topics. But I like when things can kind of loosen up and just be a time to just hang out with friends. Because the more I laugh during the podcast, I love that. Like, when we have a podcast where it's just like, just laughter the whole time, like it just makes me feel good. Like I've had a great evening. It's something I really look forward to during the week. You know, it's like, hey, we got a cool topic to talk about, but it's also something we can inject like I mean, I love even getting into crazy discussion debates with Jeremiah about why Macs are so much better than PCs. Just because it's hilarious hearing people just get, frustrated about it. And I love kind of like when it gets heated and you're just like back and forth. I enjoy that. But the more laughter, the more fun. That's what I enjoy. So right. I will vow that the podcast will not get rid of jokes. As long as I'm on the podcast.
It'll be a very, very empty podcast.
Well, James, we've already gotten console to be more more popular on it, so we're almost there. We have just a few more months. Maybe next year, James will slowly actually push PC out.
The red capes are coming. The red capes are coming. Anything else you wanted to say?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this Casual Shenanigans conversation with Joel. Make sure to check out the other two, and we look forward to seeing you on the podcast. See you guys.
Thanks, James.